So I'm talking to Mr. Denis Frimpong yet again with another fight coming up. Obviously, we all seen his last fight. Um, how are you? Thank you very much for your time. How are you looking forward to this fight?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, David. Yeah, another fight, everyone knows I'm active, 2 years I've been fighting, just, under 3 years, and I've had like between the challenge and amateur and pro, I've had like probably near 20 fights. I must be pushing 20 fights now. So everyone knows I'm an active guy. Just another speed bump in the way that I'm gonna run over very quickly. And yeah, I've been good. Campus going well so far. Still have a bit of time to go. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, obviously there's going to be Shame on the card. There's going to be George. There's going to be a lot of people as well on the card. It's a big card. You've got an opponent obviously from the UK who's fought, I believe, on the promotion twice and lost, and then he fought a UKFC, was it, in his last fight?
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
without winning.
Went back to
So
the B leagues after losing a couple fights in Octagon. So I think I'm here to put the final nail in the coffin of his Octagon career. And look, as I said to him before on the show with Aaron, I think this is going to be him getting sent back to fighting UKFC once again.
yeah, like that. It seems like obviously all his wins come from the regional scene. Do you think there's and then you've put yourself on a stage and you embrace it, and whether you win or lose, you embrace the love, you embrace the hate, you embrace that madness of a big show. Do you think that's what he suffers with when he gets to a big show?
I 100% think that. I also think that a big part of it is that these guys that start like, look, I could have done the whole thing of like fight on regional shows, build my record up, get my ticket commission, fly some Brazilians in or some fucking guy from a shit gym, who has like some questionable record and build my record up to 5 or 6-0 and then gone to a big promotion. Everyone's seen that I fought hard fights in amateur, fought the hardest fights that I could get at amateur. And then I went on to make my pro debut on UAE Warriors in Abu Dhabi, against a 2-1 guy, um, who was a big, strong, athletic cunt, arguably won the fight. But whatever that is. But my first pro fight was in the Etihad Arena, like big production UFC arena. UFCs have been in there. The big cage, the big canvas, all of that, the lights, the media, Mark Goddard as a referee. You know what I mean? Like all those things that like sort of you don't get on the regional scene. You get comfortable, having the same ref you had in your amateur fights, fighting some guy that's not really going to push you. Like maybe they're coming for a scrap, but they're not. You know that the person you're fighting is not vying to be in the UFC. They're never going to be in the UFC. They're never going to be in any big promotions. They're there to maybe not lose all the time. Some of them are there to lose, but they're not always there to lose. But you know that they're coming there to get beat. You know that you're going to outskill them. And what do you learn from that? People talk about, oh, I didn't lose. I learned. I have actually lost, and I have actually learned because I've done it on a big stage, and I think that will be a big factor in my fight with Callum. I think when the big lights come on and the big production comes on and it's a big arena, I think he bottles it a little bit, and that's not to speak about his skill set because from what I've heard, he's good. He's good in the gym. He's got a good skill set, but I don't think he puts it together well on the night in front of a big crowd.
And I've heard that with a lot of fighters, especially on the Irish regional scene, that people said, someone they've trained with such a fighter, I won't say any names or anything, but they said when they get to when they see them in a fight, they can't believe the same person. Obviously, that doesn't happen to you. You are who you are the whole way through. Have you seen that with people, and what do you think that could attribute to? Do you think it's stage fright, or do you think it's not being used to an occasion as opposed to just scrapping?
I don't think it's stage fright. I just think it's yeah, I think a part of it's obviously the crowd, maybe a bit of stage fright. but I also just think it's different in there, you know what I mean? Like I'm the kind of fighter, I think I'm a game day guy. There's a lot of guys in the gym, again, I won't name names, that beat me in rounds. They beat me in rounds in the gym. Maybe get the better of me in the gym because in the gym I'm working on things. I'm developing my skills. I'm not necessarily trying to win rounds. I'm trying to like I want to land 20 jabs in this round, or I want to land 20 low kicks in this round. I want to land four takedowns. I might never shoot in the fight because that's not my A game. I might never throw a low kick in a fight because that's not my A game. But in a round, I'm trying to do that. So yeah, you might catch me off guard because it's something new. It's not my A game. Um, but I do believe a lot of those people that do get the better of me in the gym, I beat them in a fight because I'm not wearing knee pads in the fight. I'm not wearing elbow pads in the fight. I'm not wearing shin guards in the fight. And I'm not wearing 6 ounce gloves in the fight. And I'm throwing at you with actual bad intentions. Where in the gym, I'm not trying to hurt my partners, or in the fight, I'm trying to hurt you. I'm trying to put you unconscious. So I think that is a big factor as well. Like my skill set involves a lot of weapons that I might not use to their full capacity. I might not crank an arm bar in the gym. I might not snap on a heel hook in the gym. I won't elbow you in the face full force without elbow pads on in the gym. But in the fight, I will. I think that's a big, big factor. I also just think like some people are born to fight and some people aren't born to fight. Um, you can do all the training you want. It's not the same. It's just not the same thing.
Yeah, it's more of an animalistic instinct kind of you're born to fight, you're a fighter, and there's like there's some people that don't go to the gym that are just born fighters, and I think you said it before, you'd be one of them out on the street fighting if you actually didn't have this sport. Um, but like I said, in the gym, you're trained like do you like that? You'd rather lose in the gym than lose in the fight, and that's why you allow these positions to happen. Or you because like that, you might be trying for something, and that's why they might go for something. How would you feel your progression is even since your last fight? Obviously, that last fight we seen, your teeps we know are just like your teeps are just money. They're just money. So you don't need to work on that. But
Shout out Collie Mahan and DCA for them. You know what I mean? But
how do you feel you've improved since that last fight? Even because you said even since the George fight, you felt huge improvements. Are you feeling these huge improvements every time you fight?
well, look, I'm such a baby in the game. As I said, I'm only fighting 2.5 years. So I think after every fight, every camp I make such big leaps in a couple of months. Um, but yeah, honestly, since Siraki, I had my little holiday, went to Tenerife, had it all, I came back and I felt sharper coming back. Maybe not as fit, because the Long Island iced teas and the weed edibles definitely didn't help the fitness, but maybe not as fit, but sharpness wise and skill wise, I felt way more sharp than I was even the last week before I fought Siraki. So yeah, massive improvements, massive jumps, and just my fight IQ as well, being able to look back at that fight, see the mistakes I made, see what I need to work upon. I think I'm going to be a very different version again. And that's again what I think Callum doesn't have in that. When I made my amateur debut, he was on his third pro fight or fourth pro fight. He's been training years and years, so his progression is only going to be incremental because he has been training that long. Where my progression's just going boom, boom, boom. His might be going ding, ding, and that's not again, that's not a diss to him. I just think he's developed his ceiling is a lot lower than mine is, and the fact that I'm only less than 3 years in MMA and I'm fighting him, I'm on the same, probably even ahead of him in terms of where I'm at in the position in Octagon. I'm 1-1 on Octagon, technically 3-1 if you count the challenge fights, and he's 0-2 on Octagon. Our fight's probably going to be on the main card mostly due to me, we'll have to say. He's fought on the prelims twice. I've already fought on a main card and I've headlined a prelims card. So he has me to thank for gifting him that opportunity. Uh, but again, I do respect him for taking the fight because a lot of people refuse to fight me. Um, I wasn't going to name names, but I am going to name names. Radek Rushal, Matej Kuznik. They're just two of the names that refused me, and Callum took it. So fair play to him. He obviously thinks that it's a big fight for him. He knows it's an opportunity to sort of steal some of my shine, but it's going to backfire on him because he's going to get sent back to the B leagues, as I say. You know.
There's a couple of things I want to touch on, but the first thing while it's on my mind and it's hot, the two boys who've turned you down, was the reasons why they turned you down, and what are your reasons for wanting to fight these two people? I think I know the reasons already, but just for everyone at home.
Listen, Radek Rushal, he's a pussy. That's just a simple fact. He wants to hide behind his weight division. Fair enough, he fights at featherweight. He has fought at like 77, as high as 75, 72. So he's not a small featherweight. He could fight me if he really wanted to fight me. He doesn't want to fight me. Mate Kuznik, um, he wants to hide behind his record. You know, guy's got 27 fights. Fair enough, you got 27 fights. I just beat a guy with 30 fights. So what's the difference, you know? So these guys want to hide behind their records and their weight divisions and all this. I want to fight them because these are guys that, Matej Kuzik was ranked number 10 at the time. Radek Rushal's on a bit of an upward trajectory. He's 2-0. He beat two of my teammates, so there's a bit of a personal vendetta there. Um, but yeah, other than that, like these guys, they're wallies, and there will come a point, and it was the same thing at amateur. I was calling all these guys out. They didn't want to fight me, and it came a point where they saw me rising past them, and now they want to fight me. Now they want to say, "Oh, I'll take the fight now because you've got momentum and you've got something I can try and take." But but I think by the time these guys decide to fight me, I will be so far ahead of them skill wise. I'm already far ahead of them, but I'll be so far ahead of them that it'll be embarrassing for them, and they would have been better off just fighting me now and maybe taking not as bad of a beating, you know.
Yeah, like someone actually said it with these guys, what it sounds is like some people think they're so far ahead that they're actually behind. You know,
Exactly, exactly.
and like that, like you said, do you find that much? Does that happen much in not just Octagon, but at pro, hiding behind records and trying to keep your record immaculate? Because as an MMA fighter, if someone's got an immaculate record or a very good record, chances are they haven't taken many risks.
Listen, anyone who's I won't say anyone, but like a lot of people who are undefeated with 10 fights, they probably haven't fought a stiff competition or they've been fighting guys that aren't on their level, you know? And it's easy to do that. It's very easy to do that. It's much easier to do that than it is to take the hard fights. You know, the George Staines is do an octagon challenge with a load of guys that are killers, um, fighting guys with way more experience than you on your pro debut. It's hard to do that. It is uncomfortable to do that, but growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone, you know, and I thrive in discomfort, you know, and I think from the fights that I've lost, I've gained so much because don't get me wrong, I've stolen a few things from George that he used on me, and I use them now, you know, but you're not going to get that from a Brazilian journeyman. What are you going to get off him? Fucking crazy overhands and a sloppy shot, you know. You're not going to be able to take anything from them. So yeah, I don't even think it's a matter of immaculate records either. I just think it's a matter of they don't want to be seen losing to a guy with my sort of record because they do know that I'm dangerous. They do know I'm dangerous because if they didn't think I was dangerous, they'd just fight me and smoke me. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But they know I'm dangerous. They know when they lose to me, like Siraki did, it looks look what happened to Siraki, mate. Like he lost to me, and now he's fighting on fucking PLMA or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? He's out of Octagon because it's like, well, you lost to a fucking 1-2 guy or a 2-2 guy, whatever it is. So now these guys don't want that to happen to them, and I think that's the biggest factor. You know, they don't want to take risks, but I mean, you're taking a risk getting in the cage with anyone anyway. You know what I mean? We're risking our fucking health, we're risking our fucking lives, so just go out there and do it. You know, I think I come from the fan era of MMA where it was like everyone just fought everyone. BJ Penn made his debut in the UFC. You know, within 2 fights, he was fighting guys with 15 fights. He didn't give a fuck, you know. But nowadays, guys, like you say, they want to do the whole boxing thing where they beat up 15 journeymen and then you know, it is what it is. But eventually they're gonna have to fight me in it.
Yeah, no, they are. And like that, I don't like that whole thing because I've had arguments with people about this with boxing as well. If you look at even Canelo's, even these big fighters, their first 10, 15 fights, they're bums. Like they're just outright bums. And I think that needs to be taken out of sport of boxing. People think if you lose, that's it, you're over. And you see it kind of creeping into MMA in some aspects as well, but that's more with casual fans as well. But then some fighters want to protect that. Like you said, amateur as well, people didn't want to fight you until you got to a certain stage. And I find that happening, and I think it's strange. I don't know what it's like in the UK scene, but 2 weeks ago on Decky's show Euro, which you fought on, with Damien McGuigan versus Shay Cleland, probably two of the best flyweights. And they both said yes to the fight straight away, but they can't get matched anywhere else. Like, do you think this is getting a bit silly, especially at amateur?
I think that's bollocks. I think you can get matched, and if they really can't get matched, then those other guys are pussies. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, but like I rate Deck because he does put on good shows, well matched fights. I mean, Solomon had played in 14 or 15 fights when we fought, and I only had 4 or 5. He accepted the fight. He knew it was a hard challenge, and he knew he'd grow from that. And look what he's gone on to do since he's fought me. After I beat him, he went ahead and won the Four Nations, and then went pro, and he's like 2-0 or 3-0 in pro and Cage Warriors
Yeah,
now. You know, so
all finishes, I believe, as
sometimes,
well.
yeah. So sometimes you need those losses. You know, sometimes you need those losses to help you grow as a fighter, as an individual, as a martial artist. But listen, all these guys are going to be exposed in the end. You know, we see it happen all the time. I only watched a video the other day of best fraud checks in MMA. You know, these guys that are like big hype machines, they fight a load of bums. They get their first test, and now they're so used to putting a guy away in the first round, first round, first round. This guy doesn't go away in the first round, and you've never been in the second round, and now he's going. Oh, I can see you're tired now because you've blown your load trying to finish him in the first round, thinking you can do it to everyone, and they get exposed, you know. And like, look, with the internet now and topology and all that, it's very easy for me to just go on your record, look at your 6-0 record, look at the guys you fought, look at their records, shy. Look at guys who beat them. Shit guys who beat them. They've no wins, or they've wins against other bums, you know? And yeah, and I think, yeah, Callum says he had some hard fights at amateur, but again, it's a different rule set. At pro, he's not really fought anyone. Anyone he has fought of any note or any decent skill set has beat him. So
And yeah, I looked at his record as well. There was some very lopsided losing records on those, and that's not to say with his skill set or whatnot, but it was just one thing I noticed because usually when you go into pro, you don't really see that happen that much anymore. I think see these guys that have these mad losing records, I think they should all just fight each other. And I think the good guys, and I'm not saying that they're not good and they're not coming to win, but there's like you said, there's that stage. They should know they're not going anywhere. They should fight each other, and the good guys should fight each other. But that would be a perfect world. How is the camp going for this fight? Obviously, your weight cut is always top notch. Your camp seems to be going good. Is there anything specific you're working on, or are you just trying to round yourself even more?
I'm coming for straight violence with this guy. I know that he's going to shoot on me, you know. He's going to try and do what George did. He's going to fail because at the end of the day, he's not George. He's not as big as George. He's not as good as George. And I'm a different fighter than the fighter that fought George. So, yeah, I've just been working on violence, to be honest. Just absolutely pinging his head around that cage. He has a lot of little tells that I could probably even tell him myself what his tells are. He doesn't have enough time to get them out of his muscle memory, out of his habits. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be the first guy to finish him. I'm gonna knock him out, and yeah, I'm gonna take his momentum then and prove to the UK scene that I'm not to be trifled with.
Actually, I wanted to touch on something. When you did beat Siraki in your last fight, how was the reception from the people in Octagon? Because it going into it, it was a big deal of the biggest mismatch. But when you won, there was a bit about it, but it didn't seem to be as big as I thought it was going to be.
Listen, it
Or
was
is
a
that just
mismatch
me?
before. Nah, that's 100% a fact. They were all saying it was a mismatch before we fought. after I fought and it showed that it was a mismatch, but the other way around, a lot of the haters, of course, will say, "Oh, well, he's a journeyman anyway," you know. But before the fight, you were saying he was going to knock me out. Before the fight, you were saying it was a mismatch. So I don't know. You can never really win with the haters, you know. They'll always find something like, whether it's Conor McGregor, they said, "Oh, you're only beating up small guys." Beats Aldo. Oh, he's only a small guy. You were in his head. Beats up Alvarez. Ah, it was a perfect fight for you stylistically. Like, shut the fuck up. Do you know what I mean? Like, end of the day, I can only beat who signs the contract.
Yeah.
And if one of these guys that's in the top 10 wants to fight, they'd fight me. And then they can shut me up then, but they don't want to fight me. So I've got to take what I can get. Um, but yeah, like I think a lot of people wanted to see me lose, including a lot of people that work for Octagon, actually. A lot of Octagon staff wanted to see me lose. I think they weren't very happy to see me beat up their boy. And I think a lot of the checks are hiding from me now. They're all hidden under rocks. No one's replying to me. They're all blocking me on Instagram. Um, so yeah, what can you do? But again, like I said, that's why I rate Callum on some level as a man. Um, and as well as a fighter, because he actually did take the challenge. He actually did. He signed the contract. Obviously we're still 6 weeks out. We still might see a pullout, but you know,
Yeah, we'll see when it comes to it. And actually, that brings me on to my next topic. We talked in kind of length about you wanting to fight a Czech person. You even changed your name, if people can see it at the bottom of the screen, to the Czech Hunter. How disappointed were you that you didn't get to fight a Czech fighter? But could that still potentially be in the works? Because I know what did you say? Was July? Was Prague? Or was
I want to fight in Czech Republic. I fought on three octagon. This will be my third octagon show now, and it's my third one in the UK. So fucking get me in Prague, or better yet, get me in Ireland. One or the other. That's all I want now. Or I'll fight in Germany, and I'll fight a German guy. But listen, they all went running scared after I beat Siraki. I think they saw how easily I handled them, and don't get me wrong, he's lost a few fights. But some of those fights were very close fights. He beat up, yeah, like I said, Konrad Dirska, ranked on number 2 or 3 at lightweight in Octagon. He's like 16-2, yeah. German guy, Polish German, I suppose. And he got dropped twice by Siraki. His face was mashed up after he fought Siraki. I did not have a mark on me. He landed like 2 or 3 nice shots. That was about it. Just my little mistake because I was playing around a bit too much with him, toying with my food. Um, but yeah, this next fight, there's no showboating. There's no messing about. I'm coming to just absolutely fuck this guy up, make a statement, and let people know. And I think even less people want to fight me after this. So
Yeah, I think like that. If you make a big statement, it's gonna get less and less. But once you start climbing those ranks and you get into these positions, then people, like you said, it was like an amateur. When you start climbing the ranks and you got into position, then people want, because you're such a showman and you've got kind of that buzz around you. If you look at any of the Octagon kind of clips or stuff from the show, the ones that featured you were quite heavily like watched. But with them wanting, they might do that as it goes on. But I actually lost the track of what my original point was. Um, oh no, but you said obviously you'd like to fight in Czech, Germany. You mentioned Ireland there. Has there been any talks of Ireland?
listen, I keep bringing it up. They keep saying we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. But so far, I've not heard any plans about it. But now they've signed Will Fleury. So we've got a few Irish lads now, and maybe they could sign a few more when they do an Irish card. But there needs to be an Irish card. It's Octagon UK and Ireland, and as last I checked, we fought a war, multiple wars to be separate. So they've got to do a card there. I've got to have a home crowd. But until then, I'll just keep fighting on enemy territory and beating up these guys on enemy territory, and then maybe grace one of them with an Irish crowd, and let them see what the Irish crowds are really about.
Yeah, because you know yourself what they're like. You've been to the big shows in Ireland. They're like, it's something. It doesn't matter. if people like would know you or don't know you, if you're Irish and you're representing the flag, everyone's cheering and everyone's just from start to finish cheering. And I think they should do one like that. They probably want to add a bit more to the roster, but they could sign one fight deals for people, you know, for that specific night.
Like
Uh,
there's loads of up and coming Irish talent. There's loads of up like young pros. There's loads of amateurs that are ready to go pro. So get them on. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna name all of them because there's fucking loads of them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And just get them on. They know we'll take over the scene. We've got a population of 5 million, and we're one of the top countries in Europe when it comes to MMA. We've the only European double champ ever. So you know, probably the biggest MMA star of all time is come out of Ireland, our little island. So they need to do it, and obviously I'd like the headline on that Irish card being the one of the flag bearers for the Irish when it comes to this promotion. Obviously, Will Fleury's come in now. He's a big name and he's done bits. But I've grown from Octagon from the Challenge Series. I've come through that. I'm one of the up and coming pros. He's established already. So, but I'm one of the up and coming pros early in my career. I'm loud, I'm brash. I put on a show. I don't have boring fights. I have every fight has blood in it, and every fight has some kind of showboating. This next one's going to be no showboating and way more blood. So
So a more serious Dennis for a more serious finish is what we're looking for in the next one. And like I said, we could sit here and we could name the amateurs all day. Like I can take a 10 straight away. You could not amateurs, but people just gone pro or going pro. And like you said, this it's just it'd be so good. When you look at the youths, especially that Danny McCormick actually trains, they're like coming second and third. And these are only like the 40, 30, like the 12 to like 17 year olds. And they're out in
yeah,
the worlds, like coming second, third, fourth, fifth in the world, which is crazy, crazy to
yeah,
think. We've got the guys in UFC, there's so many in Bellator, PFL now, Octagon, Brave. You've got Henry Felipe in KSW. It's just wild right now. So because you actually fought MMA in Dublin? I don't believe you have because we've had this conversation before.
I have never fought MMA in the Republic of Ireland. I've fought up north a few times. But yeah, never fought in Dublin. And trust me, like a fight in Dublin would be big. I'll get half of fucking Cavan down. I'll get the whole of Cavan down. I'll have all of the Dublin people there as well. I mean, some of them come over for these fights in the UK anyway. Make the flight over. It's not too far, but if it's in Dublin, mate, that arena will be jumping, you know. Three Arena is an easy arena as well. Or even the RDS, whatever it is, fucking Neptune Arena, stadium in Cork. I'm not arsed. I need to fight in the Republic of Ireland, and that's like a big goal of mine while I'm in Octagon. I'll push for it. I'll keep getting wins and I'll keep getting attention, and eventually they'll have to do it.
Yeah, no, because it sounds like obviously it mean a lot because we spoke to about before and you having to travel to Belfast or Nori and like they're not that far up the road, but and people are going over to see you in the UK as well. But logistically and sometimes financially it might not be viable for everyone all the time. Whereas if you have a date a couple of months, because obviously they like to announce their shows a couple of months ahead, like
Yeah,
people are coming. And I'd love to see you. I'd love to personally see you because I think I've only seen you fight once in person, and it was that Solomon fight. So I'd love to see Octagon come to Ireland and then see you fight in person on that big stage with a host of other Irish fighters.
that's it, mate. That's it. And this, like I said, is only the beginning of the Irish takeover in Octagon. There's going to come a point where these Czech fighters are just going to say, we don't want to fight Irish guys at all, you know? So,
Yeah, no, it's looking good. It's looking good for the future, anyways. I'm gonna let you go. Is there anything you want to say before you go? And I want to thank you again for your time.
yeah, I'd just like to shout out Radek Rushaw for being an absolute pussy. Also like to shout out Akon Oneless for being a little gimp and getting jumped and doing absolutely fuck all about it. And then obviously shout out to all my sponsors as well. Big shout out to them. Big shout out to Octagon MMA. You can see I'm repping the Irish kit. And yeah, it's gonna be a big year. I'm looking to get another few fights this year and see where it takes us down for 2025.
Perfect. I can't wait to see the rest of your year. Obviously, I'm going to be a part of your journey the whole way. We're probably going to talk before every fight. And I want to thank you very much for always coming and giving me your time. I really do appreciate it.
No, 100%, mate. Always have time for you, Dave. You know that.
Perfect. 100%.